gotta say, I'm amazed at Jay-Z. Not because he's a great rapper. Everybody know he's a great rapper. How the f he get Beyonce? Because he is a ugly motherfucker. Like, is it me or does he look like Joe Camel? Am I the only one to see that shit? He could finish a whole stick of chapstick in one use.
What's up, everyone? It's Books and Looks TV. So today I'm going to be exploring Jay-Z and Featurism and why some consider him ugly, and just in general how we kind of perceive appearance and stereotype people based on their appearance. Just how the insults of him being ugly are often rooted in anti-blackness. So first I want to define Featurism. Featurism in society is accepting or preferring certain features over others. It is the preferential treatment of people with features that have historically been considered better or quote unquote easier on the eyes. The preferred features are usually European features that uphold the Eurocentric standard of beauty. So now I'm going to cite an excerpt from The Role of Afrocentric Features in Person Perception, Judging by Features and Categories. And so it says African American is a person typically with dark skin, coarse hair, and a wide nose, and a person with those features is an African American regardless of actual ancestry. Walter Lippmann first categorized these stereotypes in pictures and how people perceive blackness, and argue that people must be able to see groups as different in order to treat them differently. Okay, let's just say this because I know a lot of y'all gonna say, everybody don't have this, everybody don't have it. I'm just saying, generally speaking, African Americans from West and Central Africa often have these characteristics. Some people don't have all, some people may not have any, but still, a lot of people at least still have darker skin. And generally, we're all grouped together by our features. That's with any race, any group. Some people are shorter, some people have smaller feet. Some people are taller, some people are paler. But again, there are things that differentiate what is phenotypically black. And so I know a lot of y'all like to argue. I don't know if y'all are like being anti-black by saying I don't look like that, or if you're just giving your opinion, which is fine. But I think generally we know when we see a black person if they're a black person. And so I say all of that to say this author, he understood how features often bring this perception and this judgmental nature towards people. When people see like certain features, even sometimes when they're light skinned, they still may be perceived as ugly and treated as such. My first example I'm going to bring up when we think about Jay-Z's features being mocked is actually Nas's Ether. And so a lot of y'all may know that this was like a rap beef and that they went blow for blow. And in Ether, Nas happened to talk about Jay-Z's physical features like his lips, which I'm not going to repeat what he said, but I'm going to leave the screenshot up of the lyrics. But in that moment, he pretty much emasculated Jay-Z to a large degree. And so by making fun of Jay-Z's lips, black men and black women can have large lips, right? He kind of sexualized it in a way that was also kind of homophobic. Jay-Z, as far as I know, he doesn't like men. So saying that was just like saying, oh, that your lips are only good for like giving pleasure. And I could be reaching, but in general, it's still like, why would you say that about his lips? I was a bit shocked by this. Yeah, I know it's a rap beef, and I guess politics go out the window, but it was just interesting because Nas always kind of praised himself as like this pro-black, knowledgeable person, and for him to say something that was a bit anti-black and misogynistic was a bit surprising to me at that time. And so I'm going to move on. So in the light of the central role in categorization and stereotyping, we argue that group-related physical features can become directly associated with group-related traits. More specifically, if certain physical features are frequently and consistently paired with certain traits through shared association to the category, then those features and traits may become directly associated with one another through associative learning. In this model picture from the author, he talks about how like typically when you see dark skin, coarse hair, full lips, and a wide nose, you think African American. And then also just being black is also associated with like personality tropes. Like stereotypes like laziness. Some people might attribute being black to musical abilities or athleticism, and also hostile. So of course there are like great attributes associated when people see black people, but there's also these like crazy biases that come along with people just being ignorant and or associating a few black people with the masses. And so often that's talked about. The bad things that African Americans do are often maximized or glorified in media. And then it leaves this like global impression that all black people are this way. The media has so much control. It impacts how people see black people. That's why it's also very important for us to tell our own stories. So of course that leads to anti-blackness. So I'm not saying that individuals are totally to blame for anti-blackness. I think again, everything is learned and it's been historical. This feature has been taunted even in minstrel shows. It's just basically propaganda to like harm the image of black people. People have been so concerned with Jay-Z, the fear of blackness, that they projected it onto Blue Ivy even as like a toddler. When she was born, there were like comments like, oh, like I hope she doesn't turn out looking like Jay-Z. In a huge sense, it also objectified her because she doesn't have the choice to be who she is, right? She's a child of celebrities. For a while, Beyonce didn't even share the baby with us. But just imagine being a new mother and you just snap a picture with your baby, or you're just going to Target or wherever you're going and people just see your child's hair, or they just look at your child and say, oh, this child looks unkept and this child needs a freaking petition because like she's wearing her hair in her natural state. Like, it's horrifying. And unfortunately, many people were just more horrified that this child could possibly not be cute like an ambiguous or mixed Beyonce, but she could turn out looking like a black child, which she is partially black because her parents are like black and mixed. And it's so there were different people who said like these most horrible things about Blue, from reporters to black men, and it was just like, y'all don't have nothing else to do with your time. Like, it's so many other things going on in the world. Like, you literally want to talk about a child because they're Beyonce and Jay-Z's child. There were people who backtracked and said, you know, I was wrong, I was sorry. But in the grand scheme of things, it's just like, but why would you say that about a child? Like, would you just see an average child on the street and talk about them the same? If it was your cousin or your child, wouldn't you feel some type of way? So I don't know. I just think it's really horrible that, again, all of this was very racist for a large part. For people to even say, oh, she's gonna get surgery like Kylie Jenner, we're gonna have to pretend she's not ugly, it's kind of just like, well, that's a lot of audacity. That has a lot to do with who her father was, which to me was anti-blackness. But even though all of these things said by people are very horrible and very wrong, sometimes people also internalize racism and or colorism. And I feel like that Jay-Z has. Jay-Z has had different references to women boosting his self-esteem because he's quote unquote on, or getting a high yellow Beyonce wearing his chain. And it just makes you wonder, like, maybe he has some insecurities for whatever reason. Maybe he was taunted in general about being so-called ugly or having Afrocentric features, but it still doesn't make it right when he says horrible things about like black women, African women. And people don't forget that, even though often we do empathize with the issue of anti-blackness, two things can happen at one time, right? Multiple things can happen. It can be multifaceted. And there's plenty of things that you could really say about Jay-Z, but just literally calling him ugly because of those features just makes me wonder what's up with people. So anyway, ironically, the idea of colorism and even a high yellow Beyonce has attributed to the popularity and likeness of Jay-Z. And so what makes Beyonce so interesting is that Beyonce has, of course, pretty privilege, but she's also in a social class as a celebrity where she doesn't have to typically be a trophy wife and not leave the shelf per se, but she still has like this southern upbringing and comes from this two-parent home where image and loyalty is everything. So Jay-Z choosing Beyonce kind of met his quote-unquote preference and again helped his self-image, and Beyonce did what she said she was going to do, which was upgrade him. And so now I'm going to get to my public opinion piece, and then I'm going to conclude with this essay. So someone says, Jay spent his life putting down women with his features only to watch the world return the favor to his child. Jay spent his life glorifying everything not black. His lyrics and dating pattern reflect that. He is the only black woman he's dated, and if her nose or lips would look like his, he wouldn't. Blue will be alright. Someone else says she explains exactly what she finds attractive about him in their song, That's How You Like It, when some people say, what does Beyonce see in him? And Beyonce also goes on to say things like, she likes how her child looks and she likes how her husband looks. And it's just like, what else more can you say? The point of this video isn't to convince you to say Jay-Z fine as hell or find him desirable. It's up to you. My issue more so is the question of why do you truly believe or not believe that by someone having those features that makes them ugly by default? And if that does make them ugly, why is it not anti-black? Let me know down below if I missed anything or what your thoughts are in general. Thank you for listening to Books and Looks TV. I'll see y'all next time.
Actually reading this book called Hive Minds, and it talks about a lot about social media. It also talks about just how people come to a consensus thought, and they believe that consensus thought, even though they're not. They don't know why they believe that consensus thought. It's just how it is. They don't really go looking for it, look into it for themselves. So, and I say that to say that people feel like, okay, you should have a haircut, you should dress like this, you should talk like this, you should live like this, you should have this, and you should have that. And if you don't have that, you're outside of the norm. I think that people just feel like even if you have locks, then you should have neat, tidy locks that's sectioned off in parts, and they should look a certain way. That's the consensus thought. So when someone has locks like this, they're not in the consensus thought, and it's like, well, something must be wrong with them. And that's where all of the stereotypes and all of the ignorance comes in, where you look homeless, you look like you smell, you look like you don't take care of yourself, and it's because you're not of the consensus thought, as far as that goes.
Jay-Z is ugly. Period. Point blank period. Jay-Z is ugly. I'm like, nobody will change my mind. Everybody's like, oh, you think he's ugly because he's got West African features, and that in society views that as unattractive. No, I'm West African and I think he's ugly. Okay, there are so many other artists with black West African features, and guess what? Not society, but people don't think that they're as ugly as people think Jay-Z is ugly. You know why? Because Jay-Z's ugly. It's not because he has West African features. I have a wide nose bridge. I have large lips. I have almond-shaped eyes, and I don't think that's ugly. No. What I do think is ugly is the fact that his face is oblong and skinny, okay? His eyes are droopy and small, but the rest of his features are disproportionate to his face. Not to mention, he's always got this look on his face. Like, he's just ugly. Okay, you know what makes him uglier? Okay? The fact that, one, he groomed Beyonce, okay, 1730, no matter, they started dating when she was 18, or when she was, that doesn't matter, okay? She was really young, and he was in his 30s. No, point blank, period. It doesn't matter if it was legal or not, okay? She could have been she was either fresh out of high school or really early in college, and he was a grown man who could have had multiple kids at that point. He was a grown man who was in his 30s. And, okay, he cheated on Beyonce. If you looked like, even if he wasn't ugly, even if he was average, okay, he cheated on Beyonce. And so many people are like, oh, it's not all about looks, I don't care. No matter how good your personality could be, okay, no matter how intelligent, how rich, how smart you are, okay, Beyonce's all those things and more. Those things cancel out. He cheated on Beyonce. That makes him the ugliest person alive. Period.
You know what has always felt anti-black? calling this man, Sean Carter, Jay-Z, ugly. And usually when people call him ugly, they're talking about his very African features. Like, it's giving anti-black and featurism.
Is it just me, or I don't like when y'all talk about Jay-Z? Like, honestly, I don't see why he gets such bad jokes. And this is my thing. We always talk about black people are so beautiful. We're so beautiful. But when it comes to people that look like Jay-Z, or they just don't look like the standard, it's a problem. Like, everybody ain't gonna look like Beyonce. Everybody is beautiful in their own way. But to take away his beauty like that, I just don't like that.
I don't know why everyone is convinced that Beyonce thinks Jay-Z is ugly because they may think he is. It must be your casket that your face is a shade to Jay. And did Beyonce tell you this personally? I just want to know, do y'all ever take a day off from being exhausting as fuck? And then y'all do this thing where y'all take like very unserious content and then warp it to fit like your narrative and then add like a sociological term to like make it something what it's not. Up on there it was like, oh, anti-black, anti-African features and shit. Girl, we just don't like Jay-Z, okay? He not cute enough to be cheating. And then to be the self-righteous bitches all up in the comments on their moral high ground. You know, they're just projecting. The self-hate is real. They're just miserable. I think Jay-Z is actually very handsome. Why would Beyonce be married to this man for 14 years if he was ugly? You mean a man that she been with since she was 18? And when she was 18, that man was 30 years old? Don't we have a term for that? Okay. Girl, and given those types of situations, I don't think looks was a big indicator in her decision making, you know? But that's neither here nor there. Also, for her to be putting that in the song, what type of message is she sending that out, given that her fan base is mostly black women, black films, you know, that who primarily date black men? Come on, just cut it out. Shake your ass. Are we gonna say Beyonce is anti-black for putting that message out there? No. It's song lyrics. Those are tweets. Shut up.
God damn it, now y'all having me get on this app defending Jay-Z. So I just saw a video where someone was like, I gotta block out the fact that Beyonce be singing about Jay-Z in all her dirty songs. Which, if you don't find Jay-Z attractive, that's fine. But in the comments of that video, people clowning Jay-Z, just calling him ugly, calling him this, that, and the third. And it's like, a lot of people tend to find Jay-Z unattractive for things like his nose, his lips, a lot of Afrocentric features that we cannot help because we are black. A lot of Afrocentric features that Beyonce praises and preaches about in a lot of her current music. So it's like, why? I get it. Like, y'all don't gotta find the man attractive. Y'all ain't married to the man. Beyonce is, and she's gonna sit that ass right on him, like she says. But I do think it's kind of hypocritical to call yourself a fan of Beyonce and then be slandering her husband in a comment section for things that he clearly cannot help, i.e. the way he looks. Clown him for cheating on her. Don't clown him for his appearance. It's just so hateful. But I'm also too sensitive for this.
I feel like when white people call Jay-Z ugly, that's racist. But when we do it, it makes sense.
Wait, why does it make sense when we say it? Why are black people with black features ugly? Answer quickly. Answer quickly. I don't give a shit what the white people think about him and his looks. I need to know why we think it's ugly. Quickly, answer. And it's not because I look like him either.
Why do people say Jay-Z is ugly? Why did people say Daniel Caesar is ugly when he got cancelled? Like, what about this person is ugly? Can you tell me what is ugly about this person? I don't see it. Like, I really want you to think about this because I see a lot of comments constantly in everywhere and like just everywhere about how did Jay-Z get Beyonce, like a lot of things about Blue Ivy saying that she looks like her dad or that she was not pretty. Like, what about Daniel Caesar? What about Jay-Z is ugly? Because I see that a lot of people saying that, and I want you to think about what it is that makes them ugly. Because he's like 50, 53 or something, Jay-Z. He looks good. He's a handsome person. So what about those people make them ugly? Because it's giving anti-black.